In the First Jasmine, Ye Li was trapped on Lishan for 8 years. Her senior brother locked her away and refused to let her go down the mountain to seek help. That scene made countless viewers furious. They cursed him for being too cruel, too cold-blooded. How could he stop her from saving people? But when the truth was peeled back layer by layer, I realized I had been terribly wrong. Her senior brother was not heartless. He was preserving the last dignity of Lishan Academy. First, what exactly happened to Lishan Academy? Empress Dowager Guijin wanted to rule from behind the court and needed the scholars of the world to acknowledge her authority. Ye Li's maternal grandfather, Su Qingyun, was the head of Lishan Academy. When Guijin wanted to seize the throne, he refused to bow his head. The old man directly closed the mountain and cut off all letters, blocking Guijin's path. Guijin flew into a rage. In name, the mountain was sealed for protection. In truth, it was imprisonment. What did she want? She wanted Lishan Academy to surrender and obediently support her rise to the throne. But what kind of place was Lishan Academy? It carried half the scholarly spirit of the realm. Su Qingyun led a group of scholars who read aloud every day, debated with their teachers, and valued integrity more than life itself. In their eyes, bowing to Guijin meant betraying the faith they had upheld for an entire lifetime. So when the plague broke out, and Ye Li wanted to go down the mountain to ask for help, her senior brothers stopped her. Her senior brother said it plainly. If she went down the mountain at that moment to beg for aid, it would mean bowing to a traitor. It would mean betraying the honor the Academy head had guarded all his life. When I first saw this, I also thought it was stubborn and foolish. People were about to die. Why still care about reputation or honor? But later I understood. From beginning to end, Lishan Academy upheld the rightful order. They would never agree to let Guijin become emperor. If they lowered their heads and begged for mercy, then all their persistence, all those years of sealing the mountain, and all their sacrifices would become a joke. That was exactly the moment Guijin had been waiting for. She wanted them to break. She wanted them to come crawling to her and beg. As long as they begged, she could release them while proving that Lishan Academy had finally submitted. When Ye Li's senior brother stopped her, he was not refusing to save lives. He was holding onto the unyielding spirit of the entire academy. He was not cold-blooded. He was protecting the countless common people below the mountain. The second layer of truth is even harsher. What broke out on Lishan was plague. It was extremely contagious and highly fatal. There is a brief shot in the drama where everyone covers their nose and mouth with cloth. A group of people is trapped on the mountain with a disease like that. They have no medicine, no doctors, and no supplies. There is only one road left for them: death. If Ye Li had run out through the mountain gate, the disease could have spread down the mountain. How many innocent people would have died? The scene where her senior brothers, their faces covered in white cloth, chased after her was painfully heartbreaking. Ye Li also had white cloth covering her face as she ran. Her senior brothers caught up with her, seized her, and locked her away. At first, I thought they were too ruthless. But from another angle, if Ye Li had truly escaped down the mountain, the plague could have spread outward. The entire capital might have become a graveyard. Guijin had already planned to cut off Lishan Academy's path to survival. If she had sent doctors, medicine, or food, everyone would not have died. But Guijin wanted the people of Lishan to die out completely. That way, no one in court would ever stand against her again. Ye Li's senior brothers understood this clearly. They stopped Ye Li because they were preventing an even greater disaster. The most painful part is the third layer, the final gentleness her senior brother left for Ye Li. After understanding this part, it completely broke me. Her senior brother had already seen the ending. No one in the academy would survive that plague. But he said nothing. He deliberately trapped Ye Li and refused to let her go down the mountain. He did not want her to witness everyone dying before her eyes. He wanted her to live inside the illusion that everyone was still there, that hope still remained. Because Ye Li was locked away, she was physically separated from the infected people and survived. By the time she came out, everyone had already died. Can you imagine that scene? A little girl walked out of the room where she had been imprisoned, only to discover that the entire academy was empty. Her maternal grandfather was gone. Her senior brothers were gone. Qing Shuang, the maid who had always stayed by her side, was gone too. She buried everyone on the mountain by herself. She even dug a grave and erected a tombstone for herself. Then, for 8 whole years, she deceived herself with illusions. She imagined that Qing Shuang was still by her side, still wearing her hair in 2 little buns, forever looking like a child. She imagined that teacher Zhu would still appear to protect her. She imagined that her fellow disciples were still practicing swordsmanship, still laughing and talking together. She said she was too busy to feel lonely. But how could she truly be busy? On that entire mountain, she was the only one left. Every day, she forced herself to run desperately fast because, back then, she had not run fast enough. Her senior brothers caught her and locked her away. Now, if she ran faster, no one would be able to catch her again. It was not until Prince Mo Xiu Yao exposed the truth that everything finally shattered. After Mo Xiu Yao investigated what really happened on Lishan, he was stunned. He could not face Ye calmly, so he could only avoid seeing her. Later, when he finally thought it through and went to find her on Lishan, he discovered that Ye had spent the past 8 years living inside hallucinations. The truth was so cruel that anyone who saw it would feel their heart ache. When Ye returned to Lishan, what she saw was still an empty, desolate mountain. She feared monkeys the most, but those monkeys did not actually exist. Back then, when she was moving the bodies alone beside the mountain cemetery, she saw the stone monkeys there and began hallucinating. She believed the monkeys were attacking her. In truth, all of it came from her loneliness and guilt. The bite marks on her arm were not caused by monkeys. She had bitten herself. In the end, the tragedy of Lishan Academy seemed on the surface to be caused by plague, but in truth, it was a conspiracy by Guojin's faction. Lu Chongfu led troops to surround the mountain, cut off food, and set fires. The disciples of Lishan were burned alive by Lu Chongfu's flames. The so-called plague was caused by someone deliberately releasing plague-infected monkeys onto the mountain. But even until death, Ye's senior brothers never lowered their heads. They used their lives to protect the dignity of Lishan. They used their lives to protect the common people below the mountain. And they used their lives to leave Ye one path to survival. Later, Ye took revenge. She personally killed all her enemies. But so what? Lishan could never return. The people who loved her and cherished her could never come back. I kept thinking about one question. If her senior brother had not stopped Ye back then, if she had truly run down the mountain and found reinforcements, would the ending have been different? But there are no ifs. Her senior brother's choice was the best choice that could be made in absolute despair. He preserved dignity, protected the people, and saved Ye. He was never cold-blooded. He simply hid all his tenderness behind the door that locked Ye inside. Stone tablets, a barren mountain, and graves filling the grounds. For 8 years, Ye swept the floor and chopped firewood every day inside that empty academy. She talked to Qing Shuang as if nothing had ever happened. But what she did not know was that the senior brother who had desperately stopped her from going down the mountain to seek help was the gentlest person hidden deepest in the entire story. Many people once cursed him for being cold-blooded. Ye watched helplessly as her maternal grandfather and her fellow disciples were infected by the plague. She wanted to rush down the mountain and beg Guojin for mercy, but her senior brother brought people to seize her and lock her away. At that time, I was also so angry I wanted to slam the table. Everyone was dying. Why still talk about rules? But when the truth was revealed layer by layer, I realized that we had all misunderstood him. What her senior brother guarded by locking Ye away was Lishan's unyielding dignity. Why was Lishan Academy sealed off? To put it plainly, Guojin wanted to become emperor. Lishan Academy was the scholarly lifeline of the realm. Half of the civil officials in court had come from there. Su Qingyun, the academy head and Ye's maternal grandfather, refused to bow. He directly sealed the mountain and cut off all letters, blocking Guojin's path. Guojin hated him for it, but she could not openly slaughter the scholarly world and bear that infamy. So she sent troops to surround the mountain under the excuse of protection. In reality, she was trapping them there until they died. But sealing the mountain alone was not enough. The people on the mountain could still rely on themselves, grow crops, hunt, and barely survive. What truly destroyed them was that someone released plague-infected monkeys onto the mountain. That disease was extremely contagious. The mountain lacked doctors and medicine. Once infected, a person could only wait for death. Ye Li was only 7 or 8 years old at the time. She watched the people around her collapse one after another. She went mad with fear and wanted to rush down the mountain to beg Jin to save everyone. But her senior brother stopped her. He called her back and said that if she went down the mountain to ask for help at that moment, it would mean bowing to a traitor and betraying the honor the Academy had protected all his life. Those words sounded harsh. People were about to die. Why still care about honor? But think about it carefully. Jin had surrounded Lishan for 8 years. What she had been waiting for was Lishan's surrender. As long as Ye Li ran down the mountain and begged her, it would mean Lishan Academy had lost. It would mean acknowledging Jin's claim to the throne as legitimate. Then what meaning would 8 years of sealing the mountain have? What meaning would the deaths of those teachers who refused to yield have? What meaning would the deaths of those fellow disciples burned alive have? Ye Li cried and shouted that everyone was already dead, so what use was empty reputation? But her senior brother knew there were some things more important than life. What he protected by locking Ye Li away was also the countless innocent people below the mountain. Looking deeper, what he stopped was not only Ye Li lowering her head to Jin. He also stopped a plague that could have swept across the world. The plague on Lishan was extremely contagious. Once Ye Li ran down the mountain, the disease could have followed her into villages, towns, and cities. By then, it would not have been only the 100 or so people of Lishan Academy who died. It could have been thousands upon thousands of common people. When her senior brothers chased after Ye Li, all of them had white cloth covering their faces. They knew they had been infected. They knew they did not have long to live. But they still risked everything to catch Ye Li and lock her away.
Why?
Because Ye Li was the only one who had not yet been infected. By isolating her, she could survive. I think her senior brother understood everything at that time. No one in the academy would escape that plague. But at the very least, one person could live. What he left Ye Li was the final gentleness of her life. The cruelest part is right here. Her senior brother had already seen through the ending. Everyone would die. He deliberately locked Ye Li away and refused to let her personally witness everyone's miserable deaths. He wanted her to live inside the illusion that everyone was still there, that there was still hope. Can you imagine that scene? The mountain was deathly silent. Her senior brothers collapsed one by one. Her maternal grandfather was gone. Qing Shuang was gone too. But Ye Li, locked inside the room, knew nothing. She thought everyone was merely sick. She thought they were still enduring, still holding on, still able to survive. Her senior brother used his own death to spare her from seeing that hell for 8 years. Later, when Ye Li came out and saw corpses across the mountain, she moved the bodies alone, dug graves, buried them, and erected tombstones. The final spot was left for herself. The tombstone bearing Ye Li's name was carved by her own hands. Every day, she lived beside her own grave. But in her mind, everyone was still alive. Qing Shuang was still beside her, carrying a food box. Teacher Zhu was still drying herbs. Her maternal grandfather was still reading beneath the old locust tree. She split off personalities to keep herself company because being alone was too cold. For 8 whole years she lived like that. It was not until Prince Mo Xiu Yao exposed the truth that she completely collapsed. When Mo Xiu Yao saw that tombstone in the bamboo forest of Lishan, his fingers trembled. He called out to her softly. At that moment he understood everything. Why did Ye Li talk to the air? Why were her arms covered in bite marks? Why did she curl into a ball whenever she heard monkeys? Why did his hair turn white overnight? It was not forced melodrama. It was because he finally realized that the separation letter he had written was equal to pushing Ye Li back into that grave-covered mountain. Her senior brother was never wrong. What he guarded was dignity. What he protected was the world. What he left behind was the last layer of tenderness in Ye Li's life. 8 years had passed. How could Guijin possibly not know that something had happened on Lishan? She had people surrounding the mountain. She knew exactly what happened there. But she said nothing, did nothing, and ignored everything. When Ye Li dealt with her at the banquet, Ye Li said her maternal grandfather was writing books, the teachers were teaching, and the students were reading, writing, farming, and hunting. After hearing that, Guijin sneered. Did they truly plan to spend their whole lives hiding on Lishan like immortals? She knew everything. She wanted to force them all to death. But Ye Li's senior brother refused to let her have her way. He exchanged his life for Ye Li's life. He exchanged the deaths of everyone on Lishan for the survival of the people below the mountain. He exchanged a reputation for cold-blooded cruelty for the tenderness of allowing Ye Li to avoid facing hell for 8 years. The deepest protection in this world is not always someone standing in front of you. Sometimes it is making you believe that everyone is still there. Some people are alive, yet already dead. Some people are dead, yet still alive. Everyone in Lishan Academy died, but their dignity, their integrity, and their unspoken tenderness toward Ye Li all remained alive. Why did Ye Li run so fast every day? Because back then, she had not run fast enough. Her senior brother caught her and brought her back. For the rest of her life, she was chasing the failed attempt to run down the mountain and seek help. But she never knew that her senior brother stopped her not because she was too slow. It was because he had already chosen the right road for her.